You're inside the press box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey there, Vero Nation. Paul Tipton along with Gary Paris, and thanks for joining us inside the press box. As Vero Beach last Friday night finished up the regular season against the Palm Bay Pirates on the road, took a big win, 49-0 to finish out that regular season and improved to 6-3. So, you know, Gary, when we started that season, 0-3, we were like, hey, everybody just be careful, relax a little bit. We feel like the Indians can still put together a really good season, and sure enough, they've won their last 6 ball games.
In the beginning, as they say, there was a lot of young players on this team. We had no senior skilled players that were participating. We had 2 offensive linemen that were seniors, and we had a young team. Defense had more of our senior players on it, Paul, but you had to go through a growing period, in my opinion, and playing the teams we played. A very good Egali game, which we think we got one taken away from us in Egali. Then you play Buchholz, and then you got Homestead. All these 3 games are 3 powerful teams that have done well. These are good teams. They were loaded with seniors. We weren't loaded with seniors, but our young kids have grown. Those first 3 games was, as you and I talked many times, it was a barometer of measuring how well we would be, hopefully, at the end of the year, how well they adjust and how well they adapt to the high school level of play and the speed of the game. And so far, you can see that they won 6 straight games.
Yeah, no kidding. It's been a fun ride here as we'll get set for postseason play, and we'll talk about what that can look like here in just a little bit. But finishing up on this game, Gary, I mean, this is a game you go in, you got a winless team in Palm Bay, and which honestly is a bit of a surprise. I mean, given the season they had a year ago, they were 7-4. They lost in the first round of the playoffs, but this has been a team in a program traditionally that has been a very strong program, and to see them winless, it's a little sad.
Well, when you go back and you dissect it and you go through and start pulling things out and looking at it, compared to last year to this year, they had a sophomore quarterback that's no longer with them. They had a sophomore running back last year that was their leading rusher, is no longer with them. Their leading receiver is no longer with them. So what tells me that Mitchell Brown, the head coach, when he came into the program, he thought he had all this talent, but they end up going to other schools or the open enrollment. And it just kind of it tears the team apart. And they struggled all year, and they were 0-9, 0-10 now for the season. And that's not like Palm Bay. That's not Palm Bay was 7-4 last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And here, when we've been around the program a long time, Paul, we know the history of Palm Bay. We know how they at one time were one of the top teams in the state of Florida, and it was always a good match in our district. It came down to Palm Bay and Vero Beach. Yeah. And the team we played the other night at Palm Bay was nothing compared to the history of their program.
No, and that's why I'm saying it's sad, and of course it's kind of a footnote on how things are going in high school football these days, or athletics, if you will, because of the open enrollment and possibilities there of moving around. I mean, this is what can happen. You can go from first to worst in a season, and you can go from worst to first as well in a season. But, right now it's like, wow, that's hard to watch, honestly, Gary. When you have as much respect as we've had for a team and a program like Palm Bay, that's hard to see.
And it was like you and I kept looking at each other and we'd take a break and we go, wow, this is nowhere what I thought. This team was so much better in the past. Mm-hmm. I can see why they're 0-9. Yeah. Because on very first series we had, we ran a little tunnel screen with Jacobs, and boom, off to the races he went.
Yeah.
I don't think he got a hand laid on him, and he was in the end zone.
Yeah, no, 2 plays and 58 yards, and we were in the end zone, and it was like, all right. Then we come back out after a 3 and out by Palm Bay's offense. We come back, 1 play, 31 yards, and E.J. White makes it into the end zone. And so here we have, we've run 3 plays, and we've scored 14 points.
In the first half of this game, and you kind of sense, and I kind of sense that Champ Mons would not see the second half.
No.
He would not see the second half. And matter of fact, he came out, and I think at one time we well into the second quarter, we only had 1 rushing play, and that was him scrambling.
Right, yeah.
He got a first down, and he was scrambling to get that. And that was our first running play of the game. And but I think what Lenny did was he opened up his passing game. He'd allow his quarterback to get more reps at throwing the ball and doing his progression across the field. And Champ did not disappoint us at all. I think he had in the first half. Now this in high school, it's hard to say this because he had 261 yards of passing in the first half of the ball game.
And 5 touchdowns.
And what, 4 different receivers or 3 different receivers?
Let's see. Yeah, you had Jacobs, White. Let's see. EJ actually caught 2. And Jacobs caught 2. Right? Yeah. So yeah. And then let's see. The 5th one went to, actually, EJ had 3. So
wow.
So
I see, there you go.
There's only 2 different receivers that caught
but how many
touchdowns.
How many guys caught balls with
But
him?
as far as in the first half, Champ hit, let's see, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different receivers.
9 different receivers caught a pass. What does that tell you? Well, you got some other guys got a chance to play, but it also told me that he was reading his progression. Yeah. We saw plays where you could see his eyes, his feet. He has good feet. His footwork was unbelievable in the pocket. He's gotten so much better with that, and he stepped up and he threw the ball well, and you could see that he was he was in control of his game. Coach Jay was calling the play, and he was in control because he and Coach Jay are great communicators together. Now he's only in 9th grade, and you play with the kind of control of the game and the IQ of football IQ he has. He is much more mature as a football player at 14 years old than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'll sing his song probably for the next 4 years. But he is literally that good, and he showed it in the first half of that game. And he also exposed Palm Bay, and Coach said, "Hey, look, let's call the dogs off." We had 35-0 in the first half. We scored 2 more touchdowns, and again, kids were running and they ran and they got touchdowns.
Well, I mean, how do you fault a defender in Woods who intercepts a ball and he's gonna want to get in the end zone? I mean, that's what you're taught to do, right?
Exactly.
So we're up 35-0, and Palm Bay offense is back out on the field with just a little bit of time left before halftime, and quarterback for Palm Bay throws a pass, and Woods, I mean, he got his hands on it, and then it was dart over to the left side, come back to the other side, and find a little hole, and then he's in the end zone 55 yards later, and it's like, you can't fault a kid for wanting to do that.
No way that I would have. I thought it was great. I thought it was excited because you and I love the way this young man plays.
Yeah, absolutely.
His enthusiasm, his spirit of the game. He's not scared to take a hit. He's not scared to give a hit.
No, he's not.
And he plays so aggressive out there. And it's the kind of, it plays offense and defense.
Yeah.
But that was amazing. And then again, I guess the second half we had 1 touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, we were just running the ball, and Howard got into the end zone from 1 yard out, and so
there's a name we didn't call hardly all year. Never called it all year.
No, not really. So it was good to see him into the ball game, and watching the guys like Kaler at quarterback. He had a few opportunities to throw the pass, and he was 2 of 3 on the night. So I mean, again, it was good opportunities for these guys to kind of get some reps in live action. And, Gary, it's we've talked about this year in and year out. It's like this was a game you were supposed to win.
Yeah.
And you went out and you did it.
You went out and did it. And you're expected to dominate, Vero, when you play a team like this, and we did. But I thought Lenny showed a lot of class by yanking a lot of guys out.
Oh, yeah.
At halftime.
Yeah.
I mean, some schools would stay in there and try to run up 60, 70 points. Points don't matter anymore. It's about your strength.
No, they
of
don't.
skill.
And you and I have always had this discussion. It's like we've seen some scores, and like I saw one the other night, looking around the league, and I saw somebody scored 90 points. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't even understand how that happens. You have to, in my opinion, you've had to have scored at least 60 points in the first half.
Well, either that or you scored off the defense. Every series you had the ball, you scored.
Right, but what I'm saying is
every series they had the ball, they threw an interception or a fumble recovery or whatever.
When you get up by 35 points,
and that clock runs,
it will run in the second half.
Yeah.
Now, in the first half, it has to be by a mutual agreement of the coaches.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you get a number like that, like 90 points, you've had to have scored a lot of points in that first half before you ever get to a running clock.
Before the running clock goes, yeah. You're right. Yeah. It was probably somewhere in the 50s or the 60s in the first half. And that means that, again, I'm not sure why a coach would want to run 90 points up on a team.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I really don't.
I don't understand it. I don't know what the benefit is.
Unless it's just like one of those, like a lot of defensive scores, like you said, or maybe some special team scores. But yeah, I don't know.
I was hoping it was the type where somebody typed in the wrong score.
It could be. You never know.
Because I hate to see that. Yeah. I hate to see somebody beat somebody like 90-0.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
What is it in that? What is the thrill behind that?
I know, right? Yeah. But like we said, Vero did exactly what they were supposed to do. They took care of business early and made sure there was no doubt in this ball game ever. And then at the end, Gary, when it was all said and done, we came out of there healthy, which was the next item on the list of making sure we accomplished.
That was the thing that was most important to me, was that we come out healthy, we wanted to win the game.
Yeah.
That's the first priority. 2 is not to have any serious injuries or get anybody hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that was accomplished. And now we have this whole week off, and then we don't play again until the following Friday.
Yeah, it'll be the 15th when we get back out on the field, but we get to have a home game in the first round of the playoffs. Now, who are we going to play? We don't know yet for sure. Right now, we suspect that it's going to be Lake Nona. But we don't know that for sure until the final numbers come out. And that won't happen until we get through this entire week because there's still games that have to be played or will be played. For instance, like St. Cloud, who's at the bottom of our bracket's got a game, a district game that they're going to play this week. Jupiter is playing Wellington this week as well, a district game. Chances are that Jupiter's probably going to win that game, and they're in that third spot. We're in the fourth spot. I don't know. Maybe there's a chance we move, but I don't think there is. I think right now the first 4 spots are probably going to hold steady. Maybe Dr. Phillips moves back up to number 1 and Central moves down to 2, but I think it's pretty much seems like it's almost kind of locked.
I agree with you, even though we're within a point or so of Jupiter.
Yeah.
What's going to help us is that Treasure Coast got that victory back, got an extra victory.
That's true.
First Academy.
Yeah.
It was a very strong team. It was strength of schedule on that. They got the W. So I don't know how much that changes, but that makes them, instead of 2-7, they're now 3-6.
What would be real interesting with that, Gary, is, okay, if you got a team now that has to, did they have to forfeit all of their games?
Every one of them.
Every single one of them. Okay. Yeah. So now all of a sudden, they're not, how does that affect your overall strength of schedule? Because Treasure Coast had a pretty strong one.
Strong schedule.
Now how does that affect that? That'll be interesting to see.
It would be. I don't know how they got the form done. Nobody knows how the Florida High School Athletic Association and it works with Max Preps on this and how they come up. There's a secret formula they have to evaluate the strength and the power and the quality of the team.
Right. But you know what? In the end, it just only matters about one thing, finding out who you're going to play, and then let's go out and beat them.
We're supposed to find out Saturday. Since the game is on
Sunday.
No, Saturday, they said.
Oh, they moved it to Saturday now.
Well, the reason why is to give coaches a chance. That's why they had they do it on Friday, give it on Saturday, so you can change film and get into the game.
Okay.
And that was their.
So they're doing the reveal show on Saturday now.
I don't know about the reveal show, but they were talking about you would find out on Saturday who we played.
Gotcha.
Now, that may change, as you say, because they may want to make a big production out of it. But with the link, getting that extra week and having everybody play on Thursday, that gives them time to calculate, and it gave them so they, before we would play on Friday, we would do it on Sunday.
Right.
Now they're talking about, I heard Saturdays. What a rumor.
Okay.
I got.
All right. Well, we'll see. One way or the other.
One way we'll find out.
Over the weekend, at some point, we'll know. Yeah. And that's really all we need to know. But I think right now, you never know for sure until they put it on paper. But right now, I think the strong opinion is that it's going to be Lake Nona that we're going to play in the first round of the playoffs. And that's fine. I mean,
Lake Nona is 6-3.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they got a game again this week or not.
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so, but I think they're pretty much kind of wrapped up as well. Yeah. But so it'll be interesting to see. But, again, Gary, okay, Vero's got another, bye week of sorts here. They'll have a chance to kind of just work on certain things. They'll have a chance to really, I haven't looked at any film on any of our potential opponents to see Treasure Coast is the only one that we know of that has a different offense. Pretty much everybody else is running virtually the same thing.
Exactly right. And again, so with Lake Nona, they'll have that extra week too. If they're thinking they're going to finish 5th, they can prepare for Vero Beach or whatever it may be. Give them extra time too. Not every team has taken. You had the option of taking a game this week if you wanted to make up your 10th game. In other words, we missed the Rockledge game, and for some, neither team really wanted to make it up because Rockledge played an extra game last week.
Right.
They played 2 games last week, and they didn't feel like they were capable of coming back with the next week, I think. And that's what and Lenny did not. It's hard to get a team to come to Vero Beach to play, and he put it out. Nobody responded, so he's not even going to worry about it.
All right, so I just looked it up. Lake Nona is 7-3. They won last week, 44-0 over Innovation, and that's it. That takes care of their regular season. So they've played their 10 games,
right?
So they'll have this week off as well as Vero.
Yep, and that's get ready for Vero Beach as we. And I think you're right. We're going to play Lake Nona. It's 4 versus 5.
Yeah.
So we'll.
Yeah. I think that's the mostly that's the strong scenario right now is that's who we would play. And again, the only thing I think that could possibly change, Gary, is Vero Beach if we moved up
to 3.
But I don't think
3 plays 7.
I don't think Lake Nona. There was such a difference in points between Nona and I'm trying to remember who was number 6, but I think it was Treasure Coast, wasn't it?
1 versus
Treasure
8.
Coast.
2 versus
which could
7,
happen.
3 versus 6,
right,
and 4 versus 5.
Right. Now Treasure Coast maybe moves up. That could be a possibility because if they get that extra win now, because they did have a strong strength schedule, which again brings back to the point of how much does it change their strength of schedule now that their one opponent has now lost every single game?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been the privilege of being allowed to go into that room. Nor did I ever want to.
Well, we'll work on this and try to figure some things out. But in the meantime, what we do know is Vero Beach will have a home game on November 15th. It'll be at the Citrus Bowl. That's round 1 of the playoffs. Kickoff time now. Now, again, you got to remember that with playoffs, the state is in control, and they change the kickoff times. It moves back a half hour. So instead of a 7 o'clock kickoff time, it will be 7:30. So, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as you're planning, when you buy tickets and whatnot, that, you might, if you get there at 7 o'clock, it's no big deal because then you're there. You can watch some pregame or whatever. So, yeah.
That's good. I don't know why they do it, but that's...
I don't either. I think it used to be because of traveling and whatnot, but nowadays it's like, I think I personally would love it if they just keep it at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, me too.
Kind of keep it uniform. But
I'd love to see then change the time that we had to fall back an hour. I kind of liked having that sun at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
The first time on Monday, I went out, or last night rather, yesterday on Sunday, and I'm thinking, golly, it's 7 o'clock probably. No, it was 5:30.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't like that. I don't like the darker early scenario. I like having a little bit of light longer, but whatever. Well, that takes care of high school. Hey, the Knights looked pretty good on Saturday.
I tell you what, my friend, that we were favored by 6 points to win the game. Now, we've been favored. We were favored to beat the Gators. We were favored to beat Iowa State. We were favored to beat, the last 3 opponents we played or 4 opponents we played, we were favored.
Yeah.
So I was like, the hex is on us because they're favored. We're favored by 6. And we go in and...
You covered it.
Well, let me ask you this. How many schools in college do you know starts their fourth string quarterback?
Boy,
I mean, most teams don't travel with 4 or have 4.
Well, that's true. That is very true.
And
how about your boy, Risk? I mean, he's from Cardinal Newman.
Yeah.
And, he's really showing. You know what he reminds me of? He's kind of got that Brock Purdy feel to him.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, he was so much fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
That he goes out and throws for 296 yards.
Wow.
296 yards. UCF won 56-12. Our defense played better. Our offense and Harvey, who I think is probably one of the best running backs in the country. He's really, really good. He's number 1 in the Big 12 in rushing for over 1,200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He rushed for 190 some odd yards rushing.
Wow.
And it was fun from all the close games we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbreakers to having one where we could walk away thinking, wow, this is such a great win. Puts us at 4-5. We travel. Now we had Arizona travel to us. Now we leave on Friday and we travel to Arizona State.
Okay.
So we're going to go to 2 time zones because they go to Mountain.
Right.
They're usually on Pacific, but they go to Mountain when they made the change.
Okay.
It's different.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So we have a.
And what do you think? What do you think?
They're favored by 4 points going into the game. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things they're going to spend a lot of time, I'm sure, Arizona State, mm-hmm. on how to take away our receiving and force us to try to run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But this Risk throws a beautiful pass. He throws a tight pass. He throws a good soft pass. He can. And Jacoby Jones. Now listen, Kobe Hudson is our number 1 receiver. He got hurt first play last week.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't come back. All right, so he's back this week. He's feeling better and he's okay. We've been looking for a number 2 receiver, and we found it in Jacoby Jones.
Yeah, I'd say so.
He had a great game.
Yeah.
last week, and then you have R.J. Harvey in the backfield,
mm-hmm.
Miles Montgomery. I mean, you got 2 great running backs back there that can just run the ball, pound the ball, and Risk himself is not a bad runner either.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have the Ja'Carri Brown speed, but he does have quickness, and he has the ability to read the coverages, what allows him to run.
Yeah, and I like the way that you brought Brown in at a few key moments there and let him use his legs. I mean, you got
first touchdown.
Easy touchdown.
You fake that handoff to R.J. Harvey. You put it in there, and you're watching the reads, and everybody's going to RJ, he takes it back out, walks in the end zone untouched.
Yeah.
I mean, it fooled everybody.
It did. It did. So I like how things are going for them. I mean, what do you think? You think the chances? I mean, they got to get 2 wins to get bowl eligible.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, we if we win this week, we got to go to. We have an open date.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to West Virginia, and then we got Utah.
Okay.
And I think Utah at home, and I think we can beat Utah. So we got to win one of those 2 games.
Yeah,
I think, and it's traveling 2 time zones is tough to play.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to Boise State last year, and man, it was a, you know what, when you're behind, you're just, you get there, your body has to catch up to the time zones and all. So we won, but it was tough. And so I think UCF can win this game if they play anywhere near what they did the other night against Arizona.
Well, this is going to be the first week that they're going to reveal the top 12.
Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, it's a pretty interesting look right now, given how some teams are winning and losing.
I think your Dolphins, excuse me, your Hurricanes, literally have a chance to be in the top 4. I mean that sincerely. The strength, their schedule, what they have left to play, they have a shot at winning all those games.
Yeah, I agree.
And then they will probably play SMU in the championship game now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I think SMU is a good team, but I think Miami
they're showing to be a good team. Yeah,
but I think with Cam Ward as your leader, y'all are just don't lose him before the playoffs.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah.
So, but I think you guys got a good chance. I think that the SEC is in prime position possibly to have 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Big Ten will probably have 2 teams. I think the ACC will have Miami will be the team that I would choose to put in there.
Yeah.
The Big 12, 1 maybe 2, 1 for sure, but maybe 2, and then you got Boise State or an independent team.
Yeah.
It's whoever the group of 5, the number 1 team, highest ranked team.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But right now in this first week, SEC probably may have 4 teams in there.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
4
teams I think so.
In there.
Yeah.
And it's not, and there won't be an name Alabama in there.
Interesting.
You've got Tennessee with 1 loss.
Yeah.
You've got Georgia with 1 loss.
Mm-hmm.
You have you and I were talking about it. They had 1-loss teams in there. There was like 4 of them. I thought you said, didn't you?
Yeah, there's like what is Ole Miss? Are they only 1 loss? Or?
Ole Miss, I think, has I think 1 or 2, 1 loss. Yeah. LSU has 2, I think. Yeah.
They have 2. Yes. Correct.
And but I was thinking there was 4 teams in the SEC that had 1 loss, and that all 4 of those teams would show up in this.
Yeah, you got Georgia, Tennessee, Texas.
Yes, that's the one. Texas.
That have 1 loss. And then you've got, LSU, Texas A&M.
They just got beat by South Carolina. So.
And Alabama all have, and Ole Miss have 2 losses.
Yeah, you might see either Alabama or Ole Miss in this poll. Mm-hmm. In this one, the first one out there. So you could see 4 teams, at least 3.
Yeah.
And then you will see probably 3 teams out of the Big Ten or 4, 3 teams out of the Big Ten. You could probably see.
Yeah, well, I would think that you would probably see Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State.
And possibly Penn State.
Penn State, yeah, there would be 4.
And then in ACC, you might see SMU, and you would see Miami.
Correct.
And then in the Big 12 right now, I would think you see BYU.
Right.
They're undefeated.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it just depends on how much Dion can campaign for his team.
Yeah, and they only got 2 losses.
Right, yeah.
And he's good at it.
And you still got Iowa State with only 1 loss.
Yeah, they lost a heartbreaker the other night like they beat us in a heartbreaker. They went down and scored in the last seconds of the game to beat us, and it was a heartbreaker of a loss. But it just shows you how competitive these conferences can be.
Oh, yeah.
You start playing each other, you chew each other up. And you don't have to worry so much about that this year in the ACC, because I don't think the ACC is as tough as they've been in the past.
No.
But the SEC, Ole Miss can beat almost anybody they play on any given day.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee can most likely beat anybody on any given day.
Correct.
And you got Missouri out there that scares the crud out of everybody. And how about Vanderbilt? Now, when's the last time you told me Vanderbilt would be 6-3?
I know, right?
I'd say, what?
Yeah.
Vanderbilt 6-3.
And have some quality wins in there.
Some quality wins in there, too. This shows you how good that conference really is.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, it shows you what the portal can do.
If you're good at it.
Right.
You're like Florida State. You go to the portal. You need to fire the recruiters that came on that. Norville's got to look back and says, I thought you said these guys were all good to me.
Yeah, right.
Because they got a whole, what you do, the people don't realize this, but when you have in the portal, you have a whole bunch of people are looking at different talent. Kids that have already declared they're going to go.
Yeah.
Some of these kids have got agents out there that that can get the word around and get it out. And so you start looking at kids that you think may help you. And especially when the season's over with, everybody's in that room looking at talent.
Right.
They're evaluating. They got a team. They said this. These are the people who said they're going to go to the portal. Or these 3 or 4 are thinking about going to the portal. They put it on their website or their medias. They'll say, I'm really thinking about going. That's my way of saying, unless you give me more money at my school, I'm going to another school.
Right. Yeah.
And that's, then you have to sit down and evaluate all that talent and hope you made the right decision.
Well, it's always a risk, isn't it? It's always a gamble.
Yep, it is.
No matter what you do, whether it's going through the old traditional way of offering a scholarship to a kid or going through the portal these days.
I would say that the best 2 teams had the best pick of the portal, came out of the portal this year, top dog. Oregon getting Dylan Gabriel and Miami getting Cam Ward.
2 quarterbacks.
2 quarterbacks.
So there you go. So if you're a head coach, you might want to think about a quarterback.
Yeah.
So, difference maker, no doubt about it. All right, Gary. Well, we got a little bit of time off this week as we get ready for our first playoff game. We'll figure out down the road who we're going to play, and we'll be back next week with another episode. So we'll kind of chime in and figure out. We'll have more information at that point to tell you what the playoff series is going to look like. Gary Parrish, Paul Tipton, we've been inside the press box. Thanks for joining us. As always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.